We were right on the heels of that big storm that rolled through. And unsurprisingly, I had a couple of guests actually canceled the morning after that storm. So I hope you are well. Your home and family are doing okay after that storm, but it's good to have you back on the program to talk about all things McLean County Museum of History. And let's dive right into it, Candace. If you don't mind, I want to look back at look back at July. What was July like for the museum? We didn't get to catch up on what was happening. So what did happen?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a fairly busy month for July. We had, excuse me, oh my gosh, I have a tickle. We had a lot of events during the month of July. We had our second session of our summer day camp program, which went really well. We had a full camp with 15 campers, and we did a lot of fun activities related to careers in history, such as archaeology, art and architecture, museum studies, culminating with a trip to Rivian on the west side of town, so kids could learn about green energy. So it was a lot of fun. A couple hot days there, but it was a lot of fun. The kids really enjoyed it. And I feel like a lot of the kids who participate in our camp are, the kids who really want to be there. They're interested in history. Hopefully someday they'll make a career using history. So a lot of hardworking kids went to our camp this summer.
Very good. Very good. What did you find the kids enjoyed most about camp this year? What were some of the kids like in terms of their interests? How about that?
Yeah, so always a favorite every year is our archaeology day, because we go over to the David Davis Mansion here just a few blocks away from the museum, and the kids get to do real archaeology. We have mock excavation units at the mansion. We're allowed to excavate in these pits because in the 1980s, state archaeologists came and did excavations in the same units. So there's nothing there that we didn't put in there for the kids to find. And so they're finding real artifacts that would have dated to the time period of the home when the Davises and their descendants lived there. And we have a real archaeologist come. Her name is Chelsea Coates, and she lives in the Springfield area, and she's an archaeologist for a career. And she comes and shows the kids how to do archaeology, what it's like in her job. And then we get down and dirty and do archaeology with the kids. And I always tell them, if you're not dirty at the end of the day, I'm talking like filthy dirty, you haven't really done archaeology. And we're all filthy dirty at the end of the day. But they have a lot of fun, and especially when they find artifacts, and most of the kids don't know what they're finding. A lot of the artifacts are broken, because it's very rare to find whole artifacts when you do archaeology. And so they're excited, not just about finding the things, but looking at the things. They want to try and put things back together if they find multiple pieces. It's a lot of fun. And I feel like that's always the top day. The Rivian day is a close second, because we get a behind the scenes tour at the factory. This year, we actually got to go to some new parts of the plant, like where they put the batteries together. So it's a lot of fun.
That's cool. Very good. So glad it was another successful year of summer camp at the McLean County Museum of History. Again, Candace, anything else from July that stood out you want to talk about?
Yeah, we had a really great tour of the Illinois State University Quad. So our librarian, Bill Kemp, who, knows just about anything and everything about local history, him and the government documents librarian, Angie Bonnell at Milner Library, teamed up to create a walking tour of the quad and talk about the history of the quad and how it developed over time and changed over time, some of the important events that happened on the quad. And so even though it was a little bit of a warm day in the middle of July, everyone really enjoyed this fascinating trip back through time, learning about how the quad has changed over time and the different events in ISU history that have taken place on the quad too. And I've already gotten requests, are you going to do this again? And the answer is likely yes, next year. And I'm sure, as Bill said, there's more than I can pack into an hour-long tour. So he'll probably definitely include some different things in the tour next year. So keep an eye on our website for updates on coming events in 2024, especially that quad tour.
All right, very good. So again, Candace, let's then now turn our attention to August, I guess, if I can get my month straight here. Candace Summers with the McLean County Museum of History is my guest on the phone here for this morning. So month of August, good grief, I'm still doing it. Month of August, Candace, what's happening here in the next 6 weeks? How about that?
Well, I'm actually going to take a step back to this weekend because the museum is participating in the Downtown Bloomington Pride Festival. And so we're going to have a booth out there with a lot of different activities, including we're collecting for our LGBTQ plus history project, which all the information we gather, objects, photographs, documents, oral histories, we're going to put together for a future exhibit a few years down the road. And we're going to have activities where you can make your own pride button. We're going to have some history trivia. And then, of course, lots of information about the museum and our upcoming programs, all which backlit behind us. Our building will be lit up in rainbow lights the entire weekend to celebrate Pride. So we're really excited about participating this year. The event begins at 4:00 on Saturday and goes well into the evening. We'll be there on Jefferson Street from 4 to 8 p.m. or until we run out of stuff to give out to people. So super duper excited about that event coming up this weekend.
All right, so put that on the calendar. That is this weekend. What else do you have coming up here, Candace?
Yeah, so the museum over the course of the past few months has been, actually since March, has been engaged with not only restoring historic markers in the Bloomington, Normal, and McLean County, actually, but we're placing new historic markers throughout Bloomington, Normal, and McLean County to honor the history that has happened in our community. So just a couple weeks ago, we actually dedicated a marker to the Simon Malone family and early African-American history in the town of Normal. And the marker was dedicated at the site of Simon Malone's former home at Kingsley Junior High, which the home is no longer there. It burned down in the 1980s. A marker was originally there, but because IDOT kind of changed the road a little bit over there, they had to take the marker down a number of years ago. So we're thrilled to be able to have put that marker back up. So then next Thursday, August 3rd, we are erecting a new marker in collaboration with the city of Bloomington and the Illinois State Historical Society for honoring the Booker T. Washington home, which was a home for orphaned or indigent children of color on Bloomington's west side. The home is important because throughout its history from 1918 through 1969, it was the only place children of color of non-veterans could go if they needed help or they became orphaned. And so we felt it was an important part of our local history that needed to be memorialized with that marker. And so many thanks to the city of Bloomington and the Illinois State Historical Society for helping erect that marker. And we'll have a ceremony at 11 a.m. next Thursday, August 3rd, to dedicate that marker at the site where the home used to be, because the home was torn down in the 1970s when they, again, changed the road and also made a bridge over the railroad tracks on that side of town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I venture, this is something I don't think we've really ever gotten into, Candace, but I bet that's a big, restoration efforts of that sort are probably a big part of the museum's mission and goal. How about that?
So restoration like this definitely fits into our mission of preserving and protecting our history. The first big marker initiative since I've been here that we worked on was earlier this year, where we refurbished the World War II memorial right outside of our building. So about 25 years ago, the museum, working with local veterans groups and many, many other community groups, erected a memorial right outside of our building on Main Street to all the men and women who died during World War II. So there's over 300 names on that marker. And the marker was made out of granite, like the type of granite you see cemetery markers made out of. And due to, the weather, due to deterioration, you couldn't really read the names anymore. And over time, people have very generously come and cleaned up the names and added a painted material to the names. But again, when you have the sun beating down on it, when you have the rain running off on it, that material just doesn't last. And so because of generous donors to the museum and a matching grant initiative from other members of the museum, we were able to raise enough money to completely recreate that memorial using bronze plaques. And so now all of those, I believe 326 names, are all in bronze. So bronze will last a very long time. And hopefully those names will not wear away anytime soon. And so that was our first real big deep dive into this marker initiative. The next step we took was saving and restoring markers dedicated to the Kickapoo tribe, where they had inhabited in McLean County. And that was earlier this year, which was involved working with the county of McLean to move a boulder that had a marker on it and erecting a new monument as well. So we're really excited to have the community support in not just adding new markers, but preserving what has been here already. We very much could not have done this without the support of the community, without the support of local government. So it's really an important project that we've been working on, which started last year, honestly, when we started raising this money through this matching gift initiative for markers.
Nice. That's fantastic. How do you decide? Obviously, I think the veterans effort, the veterans memorial effort, I think that one spoke for itself. But how do you decide where to take your efforts next? Because I'm sure there's a great need for restoration of various landmarks, or just recognition plaques, like you're talking about with I think it was Parkside, if I'm not mistaken. Like, how do you decide where to go next? I guess, Candace.
Yeah, so we worked, together with members of the community, and of course, our staff here, to identify markers that needed to be saved, like the markers for the Kickapoo. We definitely needed to save those and move those because the land had been sold where the markers initially were, and it was going to be turned into a field, and we could not let that very important part of our local history that went all the way back before white settlers came to the area be destroyed. And so some of this is like kind of an emergency rescue effort where we're making sure that these pieces of our history remain. And then others are recognizing pieces of our history that have been forgotten or have not received the recognition before, like the Booker T. Washington home. There's never been a marker to that home before. We're also working on recognizing a deteriorated former monument that once was a soldier's monument that had the names of Civil War soldiers, Spanish-American War soldiers on it. And part of it is just sitting in a neighborhood. And a lot of people, unless you live in that neighborhood, don't know what that marker is or was. And so that will be a plaque coming up. I think next month, in September, actually. So some of these have been rescue efforts for existing markers, and some of these are markers that we, as a staff, and other people in the community who are local experts have identified as a need to be recognized, that never once received recognition before.
Mm-hmm. Interesting stuff. Well, Candace, I look at the clock. We have gone well over the time for a break, which is fine. We'll take it now. Best place for folks to learn about all things McLean County Museum of History.
You can check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or you can go to our website, mchistory.org, for all of our upcoming events and information about the Marker Initiative as well.
Very good. Candace Summers with the McLean County Museum of History is my guest on the phone this morning. More to come with her on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
For more details.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and wheat all trading lower. September corn down 9 3/4, 523.5. December new crop down 9 3/4, 532.5. March corn 543 3/4 down a dime. August beans 14.99 1/4 down 32 3/4. September beans down 18.5, 14.35. November new crop 13.89 1/4 down 8 3/4. September wheat 696 3/4 down 16. December wheat down 15 3/4, 719 3/4. August bean meal 455.90 down 860. August bean oil 69.70 up $1.09. Livestock market August feeders 245.17 up 52 cents. August live cattle unchanged 178.05. August lean hogs 102.82. That's up 80 cents. Energy market, September crude oil, 80.23, up 14 cents. Jim Taylor, RFD.
Looking for a new Silverado? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. Yes, we finally have new Silverado inventory. We have Silverados in 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s with several trim levels. Custom, LT, RST, LTZ, and yes, high countries. This month, get an extra down payment assistance on all Silverados. Baum Chevrolet Buick. We have inventory. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
If you're looking for a local, full or part-time job in Central Illinois, there's an easy place to go to find current job openings. It's IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. You'll find jobs available near you. And the best part is that it's free for candidates to access 24/7. If you want a local job, when you don't have to spend a lot of money on gas to get to, then you want access to IllinoisJobPost.com to check out current local job openings. That web address again is IllinoisJobPost.com. Another service from your friends at the Miller Media Group.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Candace Summers, McLean County Museum of History, our guest on the phone this morning. And Candace, let's talk about the rest of August. We took kind of a quick side trip there. Let's get back on the main path and talk about August. What events do you have coming up this month?
Yeah, so we have two events that I'm really excited about. They're part of a new series that we are working on here at the museum. One series that we started earlier this year is called Crafting History, and it's a program that's both virtual and it's going to have an in-person component this time, where we're looking at different crafts throughout history. So the first one we did was making rag rugs. So, I mean, all of us probably have a rag rug at home, right? And this one kind of harkened back to like the Depression era, where people would save scraps, save everything, you know, rubber bands and bits of tinfoil. And taking your rags, you could, you know, tie them all together and make a rag rug. This time, we're going to be doing the wonders of weaving. Our curator of collections, she knows a lot about the fiber arts. So she is going to be teaching people in person here at the museum and also online about how to do some basic weaving using yarn and a really simple like cardboard loom that we're going to have for everybody to make. So it's going to be super exciting. It's August 23rd at 6 o'clock, and registration is available on our website for how to join in the fun. And then towards the end of the month, we're partnering with the McLean County Extension to do a little do-it-yourself kimchi making workshop using cabbage that has been grown in the museum's Victory Garden. We partnered with the Westside Bloomington Revitalization Project on their community garden, and the museum's had a plot there this summer where we've been growing radishes and cabbage to use for this make your own kimchi workshop. I've had kimchi before. I don't know if I'd be any good at making kimchi, but I'm glad we have people at the extension who are going to be helping us ferment and make our own using our Victory Garden produce.
Very good. So keep those events in mind. About a minute here, Candace. Anything else you want to put on our radar this morning?
And if you're going to the state fair, the museum is going to be back again with the Looking for Lincoln group at the Illinois State Fair on Saturday, August 19th. Took a little bit of a hiatus due to COVID, but this year, Looking for Lincoln is going to have their area open again on both weekends of the fair, and you'll find us there with trivia, so you can test your knowledge on Route 66 trivia and Illinois history trivia, and you may win some fabulous prizes along with learning more about museum information. It's super fun. They always have us right across from the big slide, so I'm excited because I can go down the big slide in between drinks.
There you go. Very good. Hopefully not too hot of weather this year for the state fair, and dry weather.
Yes, please. All of the above. Not hot and dry is what I like out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. Well, Candace, I look at the clock. Unfortunately, I got to cut us off and let you go. Best way for folks to follow along with all things McLean County Museum of History.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and as always, our website, nickhistory.org.
Very good. Hey, Candace, it's always good to talk with you. Thanks for making time for us once again. Again, that is Candace Summers with the McLean County Museum of History, our guest on the phone. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent.